Let's go live to the Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews providing an update on the flooding emergency.
You guys right to go? Excellent. Thanks for joining us here at the State Control Centre to provide you with an update on this flood event and the way that it's unfolding and affecting communities right across the state. First of all, can I send a message of thanks to every member of our emergency services family, volunteers, career staff, SES, as well as CFA, the fire service more broadly, police, ambulance, the whole team are doing an amazing job. There are more than 2,000 emergency services personnel, both volunteer and career, that are out on the ground doing the best of work, putting themselves in harm's way to protect others. And I'll come back to why that's a really important point to make and how we can all make a contribution to keeping those dedicated Victorians safe in just a moment. Then, of course, there are council staff, many from the philanthropic sector, volunteers, other charity groups, and then just ordinary hard-working Victorians who are looking after neighbours and friends, and I want to congratulate and thank all of them. We've seen communities hard hit already, and when we move to both the Bureau's briefing and also Tim Weebush from SES will speak to other communities that are going to have a very, very tough time over coming days. We know just how impressive that sense of connectivity, that sense of community, people looking out for each other, people really stepping up, and I want to thank everybody who's involved in the effort. Doesn't matter what colour uniform you're wearing, everyone is pitching in, and it makes you very proud to be a Victorian at a time of great difficulty. Now, in terms of support we're providing already, there have been some 1,500 Victorians who have applied for emergency payments. Emergency payments.dffh.vic.gov.au, or if you've not got an internet provider at the moment, 1800 226 226. There are payments of just over $2,000 for eligible families, and eligible families are those who are out of their home because of this flood event. It's about accommodation, food, clothing, medicine, very practical support for those who need it most. And as I said, there's some 1,500 Victorians who have already made an application via either the phone number or the website. And we're processing those as fast as we can, and we'll have that money out to people as quickly as possible. There are 11 relief centres that have been set up across Victoria. We'll, of course, add to those if we need to. And again, I thank the staff, everyone, volunteers who are making those relief centres real centres of care and support at a very difficult time. Website has all the details, the physical addresses of all of those, and as I said, we will add to those number of relief centres. We've got 50 different sandbag collection points, many volunteers, great team of people who are working very hard. That includes some support from the Australian Defence Force at a local level, I think out of the Bandiana barracks, and we thank them very much for their work. In terms of some other headline numbers, if you like, my most recent update, there's some 4,700 homes that are without power. The largest single group amongst that is Apollo Bay at about 1,500 homes. Everyone's working as hard as they possibly can to reconnect those homes. I think the Apollo Bay event is probably more related to wind rather than water. The rest of that 4,700 are made up of much smaller communities, so I won't go through a full list, but those communities, rest assured, we are working as fast and as hard as we can to reconnect you to power. We still are of the view that there's about 500 homes that have been inundated. There are another 500 homes at least that have been isolated. So when I say homes, properties, maybe more than just a house, maybe in terms of farmland, much bigger parcels of land, but 500 that have got water above the floorboards, and also another 500 that are cut off because of this flood event. That number will definitely grow. We have choppers in the air at the moment making damage assessments, flood impact assessments, that they're fed back in real time. And as you'll hear from Tim in just a moment, particularly in relation to the Goulburn Valley, we're going to see more and more people that fit into that category. That's why it's so important that we're there to provide support, we're there to provide care and attention to keep people safe and to look after those who are doing it very tough. We'll move to that clean-up phase, the recovery phase, at a later point, but this event has obviously well and truly started and will run for a number of days. We won't see peak levels of flood water for quite a while. And of course, there is then the other issue of rain events that are forecast in coming weeks. And of course, the ground was already sodden before this last couple of days of record rainfall. We know that even moderate rain events over coming weeks will present a real challenge for us as well. So this is with us for a while yet. That's why the preparations, and I want to congratulate Tim, Andrew, the whole team, the work that's been done to work with communities, tens of thousands of different discussions, important one-on-one conversations, forums, handing out material at shows and all sorts of other public events that has served, I think, these now flood-affected communities very well. And I thank all of our emergency services family for the work they've done in pre-positioning generators, in having choppers on standby, sandbags and sand, all of that work. It is a credit to them, and I thank them very much on behalf of the whole Victorian community for the preparatory work that they have done. That's probably enough from me at this point. Sorry, I should just finally, before I ask Diana from the Bureau to take us through just some context of how significant this rainfall event has been, I should just say that not only have I spoken with the Prime Minister this morning, he's assured me that Victorians will receive everything that we need, and I thank him for the very positive partnership that we have to keep people safe and to repair and rebuild after this event. But we've also had a discussion about standing up, both he and I, but also at officials level, standing up the former Mickleham quarantine facility into essentially a Mickleham relief centre. That's purpose-built to house people. There's a power of work going on. We'll update you, keep you informed of that in coming days. But senior officials of my department and the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet and the Department of Treasury and Finance at a national level have been working very hard overnight and throughout the morning to make the necessary arrangements. We're making necessary arrangements in terms of the different contractors, the different people we'll need to provide services. But we think, and particularly when you hear Tim take you through some of the expected outcomes over coming days, we think there's every chance that we'll need to house people at that Mickleham facility. Just finally, because I really can't say this enough, two things. Thank you to everyone who is doing such important work. We're very, very grateful to you. And again, it's many people wearing a uniform and many people who don't. Just that sense of people looking out for each other. It should be a great point of pride for every single Victorian to know that we always come together whenever things are difficult, whenever times are tough. And I thank everybody who's making that important contribution. Finally, please do not drive into floodwater. We have had more than 200 rescues, and many of those could have been prevented. And the key point here is it's very dangerous for you, and it's also very dangerous for the emergency services volunteer or career member, that first responder, to come and rescue you. And while you're being rescued, somebody else can't get the support that they need or may have to wait longer. So please don't play in floodwater, and please, we can only request, we can only ask, please don't drive into floodwater. It is incredibly dangerous for you and everybody involved.